Telling me, man, you sure are a pretty high yellow man. I'm like, what? So I handle my paperwork, you know what I'm saying? Handle my paperwork, man. Wash my hands. I'm like, man, what the fuck does that mean, man? He said, man, you're just a pretty high yellow man. You're the closest thing to a woman I'm ever gonna see, man, because I got double life. I'm like, man, you tripping, man. I ain't gay, homie. He said, man, check this out, man. I'm about to go up in your butthole, homie, because you got it all ready. I'm like, nah, dude, I had to take your shit. I ain't getting shit ready, homie. I ain't no homosexual, man. He said, man, you don't understand, man. I ain't never getting out, man. You a pretty motherfucker. I'm going up in your butthole.
All right, good Saturday afternoon. I mean, normally I podcast on Saturday morning, but I had to go pick up a package today, and just had a hard time getting it because they would not. I couldn't get my they couldn't get my fingerprint to work at the GameStop. The machine was acting up, so it took an extra 5 minutes for me to get it. But she got it. She got it working. Shout out to the employee up there. So, yeah, I want to give a big shout out to everyone who's here now. This is kind of an impromptu. I didn't plan on doing this podcast. I was gonna do this tomorrow, but I want to give a big shout out to JTech TV because he went mainstream playing Helldivers, and if you don't know, let's see if we can put this back on the screen. If you don't know, if you're playing Helldivers, and you should be, because it's one of the best games. This is a fun game to play, and here we go. They added the Warthog. If you don't know this, on Helldivers, and the Xbox community woke up this morning. They're pissed. Now, if you look real close, look at the top right hand side. You know who gets credit for this picture? As much as it pains me, but we gotta give credit where credit is due on this podcast. This goes to TCMF, or that corny MFer. Okay, so it is what it is, right? We gotta report the truth here, and the truth is he gets credit for actually, I guess, getting this picture together. And somebody sent this to me. Fatal Sherrod sent it to me, so shout out to Fatal Sherrod. And but I was cracking up this morning when I saw that, and just wanted to let people know up front. JTech Plane got picked up by the mainstream. I guess you would call it the mainstream and who covers gaming. That got picked up, and then because he was driving a vehicle, and I guess that was new. The mechs that we knew about, didn't know about the vehicles. And the fact of the matter is that Helldivers got vehicles before Starfield did. And on Starfield, you go around a whole friggin' planet. I mean, it's just like, damn, why I gotta walk like this? Who am I, Little Red Riding Hood? So they have got to add vehicles to that game. They just have to. This is nuts that they don't have vehicles in Starfield. But congratulations to Arrowhead Games, and I know people are saying Sony should buy Arrowhead Games. I don't know how they will justify buying a developer after laying people off. Now, I want to make clear, the people that have been laid off, which sucks, are part of the overhire during the pandemic. That doesn't make it cool. That doesn't make it feel better. I've been in those rooms when those layoffs have happened, and you give them the attaboy and pat on the back and stuff like that. And that's the way it is at first, but then you run into them later on. They're in tears, and they're basically like, I don't even know I should come back to work and work here. And because if I'm getting laid off, what's the point of me going, coming in? And, so that's why a lot of companies don't tell you what's going on. So just, it is what it is at this point. Also, we'll get a rumor out of the way here that Ghost of Tsushima possibly next week, I think it's going to be Monday or Tuesday, will be announced for PC. Now, Ghost of Tsushima came out in 2020, and then they seemed fit enough to give us a PS5 version. Now, remember, the first version of it was just 60 frames per second. They didn't change anything else. The PS5 version, you have better graphics. It's just a better sound. It's just a better, clean game. It's hard to explain. So, but just so you know, that a game that it's a PS4 game is going to PC. Of course, the last one that's going to go is The Last of Us Part 2. And with PS VR going to PC, PlayStation's top game on the VR is Gran Turismo 7. And that game will go. It will probably be the end of this year or next year. Also, I need to brace you all for a possible delay, not cancellation, but a possible delay of Stellar Blade. Okay, I was told by 2 people that it's getting pushed back till midsummer. So again, it's not horrible. It's not the end of the world. It's just something to help bridge them into the fall when Madden comes out. So I think I was talking about this the other night on, great podcast the other night, Thursday night with Mooch. Had Mooch on there, had Lono, had multiple people come in, Forte coming on in. And I stand by the fact that you're going to be paying more for your games. And I went and picked up a game today, and I just asked the young lady behind the counter, I said, is this game selling really well? And she said, yeah, it's selling real well. We're already out of the deluxe edition. Now that goes into what Forte was saying when, he works for GameStop, and he was saying that people were coming in to pick up Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and was upset they didn't have like the special edition or whatever they had, limited edition, which just goes to what I've been saying, which is guys, we're gonna be paying more for the games. You better just get it ready. Like Chocolate Thunder said, yeah, I got it all ready for you. Getting it ready. So that's kind of the opening diatribe. Also, I disagree 100% with Big Cloud when he says that Big Cloud Gaming, when he says something to the effect of the exclusive games are going away. That's simply not true. That's not true. And also, if you're into cloud streaming, if you have the premium service on PlayStation, your cloud streaming is the best cloud streaming. So you can expect, and I'll break this news right now, you can expect them to start adding PS3 games and PS2 games so you can stream those games. Because if you want to stream the games, you can go up to 4K depending on your cable. Okay, now I'm lucky. I have Spectrum. I've got one of their highest tiers. It's not the business tier, so I've got that tier for my cable. And so, for me, it is what it is. It's e pluribus unum. It speaks for itself. I stream Forbidden West. Remember, I told you guys it looks really good. It's a little soft on the edges, but not that great. It's not that great of a difference. So shout out to everybody that's here. I see some newer people here. Just Wait, Scott Free's in the house. Yeah, nobody wants the yams delayed, but I think it's gonna get pushed back so that they could get more. Because I went today, and when I went to go pick up my game today, I reserved Stellar Blade, and so no, I did not reserve Stellar Blade. I'm sorry, it was Dragon's Dogma, and Stellar Blade, I'll get that last. I did pick up Final Fantasy Rebirth. I know you all gonna want the receipt, so let me come on over here and get it for you. Hold on. Okay. So let me put this on the camera. I haven't opened it yet. I have not beaten Final Fantasy VII yet. So let me take this down. Let me put the camera on here so you all can see it. You get the receipt. There you go. Can you see that? Final Fantasy VII. Hopefully you all can see that. It was a glare, but I had to let some sunlight up in here. So, but that's it. That's Final Fantasy VII. As you can see, Square Enix right there. Where's it say? You can barely make out Rebirth, I know, but that's it. There you go. That's a little bit better. Rebirth. Yeah, there you go. So that's the game. And again, I'm going to start playing Final Fantasy VII again tonight. But that's it. That's what I wanted to show you guys. Corey Massey said you can already stream PS3 games. Yeah, you can. But now you're going to get your majors, your SOCOMs and stuff like that. But again, they being Sony, I think have done a good job with this because they're just kind of like, well, they're not going to start putting a whole lot of PS3 games on until you can go ahead and once the pro version of this thing comes out. So, but yeah, you can already play them. But now you got watching this hockey game. You got pretty damn good graphics. And again, one of the prettiest games I've ever seen. It's been two. It's been DLC. But they were both from Guerrilla with Forbidden West, with that DLC, and then the DLC before that on Horizon Zero Dawn. So, it is what it is. So the new Redfall update is real good. Okay, I'm not here to say it's not. Last time I checked, it was The last time I checked, that game's an exclusive. That's the last time I checked. So if I'm wrong, somebody let me know. But I'm pretty sure that game is a exclusive title to the Xbox console, and that's why I disagree 100% with BitCloud. So, but I do agree with what Porter Rock was saying, because I know Porter Rock was kind of teasing when he was saying hashtag the whole slate and all that kind of stuff. That he was just trolling at that point. But the way they're acting, the way the Xbox community is acting, I'm starting to think a lot more is coming. I mean, because they're, now, I mean, think about where they were just this time last year, constantly talking about the exclusive of Starfield and Hellblade 2, and how all the games for Bethesda were going to be, what's that term? Exclusive. Yeah, that's right. So when BitCloud was saying that exclusives, the people have taught that exclusives don't matter. No, to you, because again, BitCloud, shout out to BitCloud. He's converted more over. He's much more a PC gamer now. So once again, I keep trying to tell people, the PC crowd does not want Sony to put games out and then they have to wait for 2 years. They don't want that. Okay, they do not want that. So just understand that. And the Xbox community, you got this hypocrite named Paris talking about, Final Fantasy should be out for everybody. Notice he's not talking about Forspoken or Eve Valkyrie, or just pick your and the Final Fantasy games that are on Xbox community did not buy those games for whatever reason. I think my whole thing is that they're broke. That's just my opinion. Also, we have a poll up, so make sure you vote in that poll. As you can see, I would vote yes. I bought Final Fantasy VII, but it's just gonna go to the back burner because I've got to play the first one where Cloud got approached by that one young lady and he told her no, and I actually got mad. So I'm gonna just start it at the beginning and go from there. So Stellar Blade had to get out of the launch window of Sea of Thieves on PS5, possibly, but my understanding is they're gonna push that game to the summer so that there's more of it's an April game. It comes out next month, right? Is it April or May? So my understanding is it's going to get pushed to like late May, early June. That's what I got told. So I'm passing that along. It is a rumor. It is a rumor. I had 2 people tell me that it was getting pushed. So that they could come up with more. It was like more physical copies or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. So shout out to Harlem PS Gamer, says he hopes he gets a new Astrobot game this year. I don't think we're getting any first party games, and the reason we're not getting them is because they're reevaluating how much money to give the studios. The problem they had with Spider-Man, and I've talked about this a few days ago, was the problem with Spider-Man is that's made with Marvel Games' blessing. Marvel Games does not want anybody shortcutting their IP. So I don't know how that's going to work going forward, because my understanding of it is, this is something Lono said, and my understanding is it's going to be the next Spider-Man game will be cut into 2 parts. So it will be $49 to $59.99 for the first part of it, and then the next part is getting cut out. I tell you who did this and did a shitty job, because I finished the game, is Call of Duty just did this. I mean, that game is about 5 hours. It took me about 6 hours to beat that game. However, what sucked is the way it ended. It's open-ended, the way it ends, and and it's another game coming out that's going to probably be 4 to 6 hours long. And once that happens, and again, you will be paying full price for it. But with Spider-Man, my understanding is if Sony has to break their games into parts like this, they're just going to do a whole, again, you'll have a Spider-Man 3 and a Spider-Man 4. So for me personally, God willing, God willing, for me personally, I don't mind that because I'm supporting the game. The game is only going to cost like either $49 or $59.99. However, it will have a continuation into the second game. I don't have an issue with that. However, there are people online who are complaining about it, and if you have a problem with it, I'm not gonna sit up here and slam you over the head. Go ahead and get the like, hit like if you don't mind. That's free. Hit it. Go ahead and hit the like button, like Chocolate Thunder hits the cheeks. But something has got to give with these budgets on these games. So my understanding is it's going forward, they're gonna allow about 160 to 175 million per game, and that's it. They're gonna have to put out what they have right then and there. It is cheaper for Sony to give a double A developer or something like that either license to make their game and make it exclusive. That's what happened with Helldivers 2. And that's what happened with Stellar Blade in a certain sense. You got to remember the Stellar Blade, I don't think Sony owns that studio. Shift Up, somebody can look that up for me. I think Shift Up owns Stellar Blade, but somebody can look that up because it may be a situation where Sony owns Stellar Blade, but they contracted out this studio to go ahead and make Stellar Blade, make Stellar Blade for them. So, Capono says off topic, but folks, 4K OLED monitors have peaked, jaw-dropping clarity. Yeah, I mean, I saw one at Best Buy today. I'm like, is it really that? I'm like, holy cow. But I saw this 34-inch. I saw this 34-inch screen, QHD widescreen. It was only $399, and you know what? I damn near almost bought that. I didn't buy it, but I was so close, so damn close to buying it today. But I had to go. So part-time Spider-Man 3. No, it's going to be a complete game. It will be a complete game. It will just have a continuation on to the fourth game. And that's the way, and that way, okay. So they budget the game out of the next year budget. They say, yes, we're going to make a fourth game, and here we go. Now we got to remember, the next games coming out are going to be much more centered on Miles Morales. So I think you give Miles Morales a solid game, and then in the fourth game, you start passing the torch, not pass the torch, but you add Cindy Moon in there, Silk. I think, just as you had Parker and Morales helping each other, now you bring in Silk, with whatchamacallit. So I think that with Miles Morales, so I think that would work. That's just my opinion, though. It's not damage controlling. It's just they can't keep putting out that kind of a budget. And again, it's not that the games aren't making money. I want to make that clear. However, it's not making the amount of money that they are projected to make because the cost of the cost of building the game is way too damn expensive. So, any new about Gran Turismo adding more people to their team? Oh, Polyphony Digital. I don't know. Again, you got to understand the layoffs, which suck. I mean, there's just no getting around it. They literally went back to pre-pandemic levels. That's what they did. Okay? That's what they did. So it still sucks. I mean, and there's more people at the studios than there were before the pandemic. So, that's just it. That is just it. So, yeah, remember, Capono makes a good point, and I said this. Remember people were screaming and yelling when Sony went into and bought that mobile studio and they bought a mobile studio, and then after they bought the mobile studio, they got, people got mad and said, well, this is not going to help them because Xbox has Call of Duty. Okay, Xbox has Activision, right? So Sony buys this mobile studio, and one of the things that mobile studio did is they found Shift Up, because that's a mobile studio. So Shift Up builds a demo called Project Eve. That's a demo that we saw. Just like with Forspoken, you had that demo called, what is it, Project Athia or whatever it was called, okay? I forgot it was Project something. And then we get to see the game, and then Sony says, okay, we will fund the game. There's a lot of interest in this game, a lot of buzz about this, so go ahead and make the game. And that's what they did. So Shift Up makes the game. Now, did Sony give them money? I can't get an answer on that. Did Sony get a distribution deal where they're going to distribute the game on PlayStation? Yes, it is up. My understanding is it is up to Shift Up to find a company to publish it on PC. So we're going to find out. So they are not. No, that Insomniac said they were going to focus on Miles on the next game. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what they said. So somebody can look that up. So I'm pretty sure Insomniac said they're going to be focused on. I mean, now they could have changed their minds. I mean, they have the absolute right to change their minds. Well, let's see if we can find that, because I remember talking about that. Let's see. Insomniac, not Insomniac cookies that are right down the street that I can't have. Insomniac games. Miles Morales. Let's see here. I need to put focusing on. Oops, on. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm looking at this right here. It's hard. I can't. Let's see how I can do this. Let me see if I can put this on the screen. This is just off of a Google search. And let me see here. Let's go here. Let's take that off the screen. Shout out to that corny MFer. He got that. So then yep, here we go. It's right there on the screen. It says a few years later, Insomniac introduced Miles Morales in its very own spin-off Spidey game, and later brought the two together in Marvel Spider-Man 2. Okay, that's all right. It says now that the latest title is out in the world, it seems the future of the series will focus primarily on Miles, giving Peter a well-earned rest. That's literally what they're going to do. And we can, well, I can't. What am I doing here? This comes from Games Radar. Miles Morales is now Insomniac's lead Spider-Man in a move that was planned pretty early on. And this is an old article. And so let's see here. All right, after Spider-Man 2, Miles Morales is the lead Spider-Man in the Insomniac series, a move that was decided very, very early on, according to developers. So it says here that it's right here. So that they started with Peter Parker. They focus on Peter Parker, and in these two games, but you can clearly see in Spider-Man 2, and I'm not going to spoil it, but if you play Spider-Man 2, you can clearly see there's a part in that game where it starts shifting more to Miles. It just does. I mean, I'm not going to tell you when it happened or when I noticed it, but it clearly shifts towards Miles at a certain point. And it's not that they did anything with Parker, but you got to understand, Parker is now, I don't know where I forgot how they saved the house. You know, they got the house done, and they were donating stuff. They started a organization in his grandmother's, in his auntie's name. So that's kind of the gist. And then you had the in-cut scene that does not have Peter Parker at all. And I'm talking to the mid-cut scene. The mid-cut scene is different. They set up the next Spider-Man. They set up who the villain's going to be, unfortunately. And then you get the Henry Moon coming over, and then he says, "This is my daughter." Oh man, it was so good. I literally jumped off the couch. I'm like, ah! Like literally, I did a Marlin Gaming Nation. You all would have been proud of me. I was running around and humping the couch and doing the entertainment like he says. But yeah. So I think it's not that Parker won't be in the next one, but I got to figure he's going to be like 30, 31 years old. So the ending scene at the prison, though, heavily the prison. What prison? Focus on Spider-Man. Yeah, no. I think Parker's gonna be in the next one. Yeah, but you're gonna have Miles be kind of the lead. So it's not that Parker's done and they're sacking him. He ain't gonna do nothing. I just think he goes more into a the way Otto Octavius, Miles Morales. Yeah, hey, check it out. Peter's job went to a minority, right? But I think according to Insomniac, their plan from the jump, has been, according to them, I'll take that back. According to the article, that their plan from the jump has been to start with Parker and shift it to Miles. So that's fine. I mean, I don't have an issue with that. But if they have to break it up, if it's like, okay, Sony says we can give you 150 to 175 million to make this game. Like, okay, we can make this game, but you got to do it at 175 million. And Insomniac comes back and says, well, we're going to have to break this into 2 parts. And, therefore you'll have a 3 and a 4. Okay. And then Sony could come back and say, well, we want you to sell the game at $49.99 or $59.99. I think people will be upset. Fair enough. But if you're only going to have to pay $49 or $59, I think it's going to be $59.99. One, Sony takes the whole $70 thing away. They take that off the table. Number 2, they now get over $100 per. That's what I think they're going to do. So, Insomniac hasn't said anything. Well, Insomniac did not push back against the articles. And if they had released a statement saying, well, no, this isn't true, but multiple people have reported this. And again, it's not that look, I'm trying to get this straight here. It's not that Insomniac will not have Peter Parker in the next Spider-Man. However, they are shifting more towards Miles, and they did this during the game. But it's again, and it just will this will help. This will help. I truly believe, because you do have people who are pissed that Sony is going to do this, but this is just the most cost-effective way to still make the games, and then you just get the budget out of each year instead of the same year. And now the game makes, the first, the Spider-Man 3, say it makes whatever, $600 million. Then the follow-up to it makes 580. The game has made, whatever $1 million, something billion, whatever it would be, so they sell 30 million, or 25 million or 15 million copies of each game. And the budget is where Sony wants it to be so they could make a higher end profit. Got to also understand that Sony, while they did do well with The Last of Us TV show, that did do well. Shout out to Pedro Pascal for winning the Emmy. I think Emmy or something. BAFTA. He won something. So congratulations to him. However, the movie Madam Web, that movie tanked. Like, it's already out of the theaters. Like, and it just came out a week and a half ago. So that movie tanked, and that's going to hurt Sony. And that won't hurt them this quarter, but come the third quarter when they got to report earnings, that movie it's already going to like premium pay-per-view or something like, was it premium PPD or PPV, PPOV or something like premium, demand, something like, it's already done. It's really effed up, how bad that movie. Like I said, I saw that movie and I was still trying to figure out what the hell I watched. So that's what I believe Sony will do. This will help offset costs and drive up revenue. That's what I think you're going to see. So, and you also, if Stellar Blade does get delayed, we still have Stellar Blade, you have Concord that is still scheduled to come out this year. But remember, the fiscal year for Sony, I believe, ends like in February or something like that. So you will have to check that out. Just you all make sure you check. Just keep an eye on that. So, like I said, the big news this week, however, seems to be that Ghost of Tsushima, which I finished, I thoroughly enjoyed. I understood why it was up for Game of the Year, aka the GOTY. So Q1 for Sony fiscal year, April to March. All right, well, yeah, it's gonna reflect on them, especially the movie TV section. The people do the movie and TVs, they're gonna take that's gonna be a hit. I mean, not like a hit movie, but a hit in their pocket, because that movie just flat out bombed. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just it's a bad movie. I always said that Sony trying to make Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man was a mistake. I think they caught lightning in a bottle with Venom. I thought they caught lightning in a bottle. However, that's not what's happening. That's not what's going to happen. You cannot make Spider-Man movies without Spider-Man. I thought Madam Web should have been a TV show. That's what I thought Madam Web should have been. Should have just been a TV show, 6 to 8 episodes. Marvel just did it with Echo. I don't know if you all watched Echo. That was actually a good show. It wasn't great. It was good. I mean, I 4 of the 6 episodes I thought were good. The two of the episodes were not very good. They just were not very good. So they might make an Uncle Ben movie. I don't. Yeah, no. They're not gonna do that. This thing trying to make a Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man being in it is a mistake. I was like, that's a mistake. but I'm not in the room. If they were to ask me, that's what I would tell them. I would be like, yes, I think we should introduce Cindy Moon. Yes, I think we should introduce Spider-Woman. However, you have to introduce them through a Peter Parker-driven Spider-Man. You see what I'm saying? It's okay to do this. I'm not against them making it more diverse, because you go to a comic book convention or something like that, there are actually girls and women. There's women, I would say there's women there. They like to read comic books and draw and stuff like that. They can do the same stuff and write. So introducing Spider-Woman, it would be fine. I don't have an issue with it, but they're gonna have to do it through a Spider-Man movie, even if it's a Spider-Woman movie and Spider-Man is in it. You see what I'm saying? You put Peter Parker in there and just go from there. See how that happens. So even the MCU movies outside of the ensemble movies, well, they were all ensemble movies. Well, no, not all of them. Not all of them were bad. I mean, some were bad. I'm not here to say you're not wrong, but you have to remember the Hulk movie isn't that good, and that's not an MCU movie. That's a Universal movie. That's a Universal. They had their hands in on that. And the other MCU movies, and again, they're doing a reset, if you don't know, because all the stuff that happened to Jonathan Majors, they're not going to do the Kang Dynasty with the multiverse. They're not doing that at all. They are going to do what I think is going to end up being the new West Coast Avengers and Young Avengers and stuff like that. They're going to do you can see the shift if you watch. I don't know if you watched the Captain Marvel movie, The Marvels. You see the shift in that. They're going to bring in the mutants and they're going to go on overload with the mutants. So Fantastic Four's coming. There's another X-Men coming. They have to marry the two. They got to marry. I'm not going to spoil the Marvels. It's actually a pretty good Marvel movie. A Batman game without Batman didn't work too well. Well, that's my point. I agree. You have to have Batman, even if he just gets knocked out or put in a coma, or he's got to be in those games, in those movies. You know what I'm saying? So it's okay to make mistakes. Okay, it's just when they make mistakes with like this big, everybody is gonna jump on that ass like Chocolate Thunder, talking about you sure are a pretty brown man. So it is what it is. It's a very competitive thing. The superhero genre, in my opinion, busted its nut with Avengers Endgame. When all of them were running or flying across the screen, I said, oh my God, like this was every comic book nerdy guy like myself dream. That splash scene where when Captain America's Avengers assemble and they go taking off towards Thanos, and Thanos commands again, Thanos had 3 armies there. He had the Black Order, he had the Chitauri, and he had the Outriders. That's who was fighting for Thanos. So we were like, well, who's fighting for Thanos? That's who was fighting for him, right? So they are going to have to, Marvel's got to reset everything. They went multiverse, and I said when they did it, I said, if they go multiverse, they're going to lose a lot of people because that's hard to follow even in the comics. I mean, there's like certain comics you have to buy to make sense of other comic books. I mean, it was just weird. It was, so, but everything else is just, they've got to marry that together. And, I'm pretty sure that Brie Larson, I think she was on her 1, 2, 3. I think they signed her for 3 movies, and she's appeared in all 3. So I don't know if they're going to renegotiate with her or not. I tend to think because of the way the Marvels ended, the 2 that they showed, I'm not going to spoil it. I think that's your future, and I think they're setting up the young Avengers. Now that's just, and the fact that they have come out and publicly said that they're going to age up T'Challa and stuff like that. Because again, with Marvel, and I talked about this on Rumble, you need to go to Rumble and follow me. With Marvel, they have a timeline, but the writers and the directors and the producers don't follow that timeline. They'll say, well, this happened, like the Avengers Endgame allegedly happened in 5 years. After they killed Thanos in that timeline, it's like 5 years later. But, it's 5 years in the MCU. So that will now make young T'Challa, if you want to call it that, you want to make, that would make T'Challa like 12 years old. See what I'm saying? That's what they're going to do. And I just think they're going to make him part of the Young Avengers. And that's the team it'll be him, it'll be Reed Richards. Reed Richards will be kind of the elder statesman of it. So, I mean, that's where I think they're going with it. I think it's going to be fun because all the casting and stuff like that. And now you guys that joined the MCU late, and that's fine. Better late than never, right? You guys, you all will be able to follow your own MCU. My generation is done with it. We pushed it to Endgame, had a great time. Like a friend of mine said, when he went to go see Iron Man, we went to go see Iron Man together, like the last week it was out. He was single. He wasn't married, meaning he was single. He didn't have a girlfriend. He had nothing. By the time we got to Endgame, he was married, and he was able to take his 6-year-old son to see Endgame. So, I mean, he was like, I come full circle with it. So now his son is watching, all the TV shows and stuff like that. So yeah, Madam Web was so bad, but it was bad, man. And my girl turned to me and said, this was free, right? I'm like, yeah. She was like, oh. I'm like, yeah. I said, if you want to get up and go. And she was like, nah, because we're guests, because we're an invited guest to get these sneak tickets, so to speak. Plus, I had to go to make sure I could go see Dune, because Dune is good. For as bad as Madam Web is, Dune 2 is one of the best, if not the best, science fiction movie I've seen in the last decade. It was that good. So, I mean, it was good. So, it was cringe. I don't know how else to describe it. Yeah, it was not a good movie. It felt like they were trying to, I don't know. I can't explain it. It was just that I can't literally talk about it anymore because it makes my side hurt. I'm like, oh my God, this was terrible, But moving on, as like I was saying, is that Sony in the TV division, TV movies, they're going to have a tough time explaining Madam Web. So you all can prepare for yet another possibly bad report. Possibly. but it will be because that movie was horrible. So you all better get ready. I'm talking about the fanboys, not the gamers and all that kind of stuff. As a gamer, I will pay more. And like Brap was saying, shout out to Brap, gaming is a luxury. It's not something that you're entitled to have. It's not. You're not entitled to just game. It is a hobby. It's expensive. Like drone racing. I know somebody who does drone racing. I'm like, man, that's like, how much did it cost us to get started? It was like 10 grand to get started. Oh my God. Right? So, True Virgil said it was the writing. Yeah, the same people that wrote Morbius, which was bad as well, right? The same people that wrote Morbius wrote Madam Web. But I know what they're doing because the same people, what if I told you the same people that wrote Civil War, Endgame, and Infinity War also wrote Thor Dark World, which is arguably considered the worst MCU movie out there. I think it's Thor and the Hulk tied up, but that's my opinion. And some people said that the Marvels was bad. I watched the Marvels twice. I'm like, this is not a bad movie. I understand these incels though, they getting upset over it, and they don't want to. They hate women, so they want to see the women. They're not going to support any female movies. So that's the way it is. They're looking at it like women can go support women. They are no longer going to support women. So, but I mean, that's not what we're talking about. So let's move on to FSR 3, which FSR works on any RDNA. It doesn't have to be RDNA 3, but apparently, according to White Zaddy, also known as Digital Foundry, they said that the PS5 version of FSR 3 and cloud, not FSR 3, cloud streaming. We'll stick with FSR 3. FSR 3 is running on Avatar. If you're playing the Avatar game, you get the update. That's using FSR 3, and they said it is really good. So, yeah, Sergeant 12. They hate women. They're not. They don't go to watch them. Yeah, that makes sense, right? They flat said we're no longer going to support women in movies and stuff like that. So again, well, that's why the Marvels failed. I was there opening weekend. So opening weekend, it's the same Marvel crowd. You see them all the time at the Marvel movies. You give them, high five. How you doing? How's your family doing? You're what is called exchange pleasantries. We take pictures. You see how much people aged. I remember Iron Man came out. Man, I forgot how old I was when Iron Man came out. Maybe in my mid-30s. But the MCU went for 13 years. So go figure, right? I'm early 50s. So it is what it is. So well, feminists didn't go. That's the point. They were, and the same feminists that they thought were gonna go saw the Barbie movie, which made $1 billion. Barbie made $1 billion. They thought a lot of those women would go see Madam Web, and they didn't do it. Those women didn't do it. And the women I talked to about this said everybody grew up with Barbie. They don't know what a Madam Web is. Okay, fine. The WNBA is a bad product. And you all have it good. If you're watching it now, it's actually great compared to what it was when Lisa Leslie and Rebecca Lobo came into the league. They were good, but the other women, it was like, man, these women, it was like watching old people eat scrambled eggs. I mean, it was that bad. Like, how could something be this bad? So and that's why it's such a big deal that Caitlin Clark is going. And it wouldn't have shocked me if she was told to go. Like, we need you to go into this league to help save the league because that league is floundering. Nobody's watching it. Like, nobody. I don't even see WNBA games on TV anymore. So we'll have to wait and see, though. Have to wait and see. But so FSR 3 is an upscaling technique. And remember that myself and multiple people, including Foxy Games, we told you guys at the beginning of the generation that that upscaling techniques were getting better, and because they were getting better, you were going to start seeing more upscaling versus native pictures, and that's exactly what we have. So, but apparently the Avatar game, I've been told that it's one of the best looking games ever out. So, again, go check that out. Oh, yeah. Well, you have to do with Chocolate Thunder for now. So, but I think it's amazing where the upscaling technology is. Like I said, they can take a 1080p picture and it will upscale to 4K. And that's really something else. That's why I'm like, well, that's what the Pro is going to do. I'm telling you right now, do not buy the PS5 Pro if and when it comes out with the notion that everything's going to be 4K native. Why you still will get 4K native games like you got them right now, like we had on the PS4 Pro, you're still going to get mostly upscale games. Well, now Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, all the Thor movies, Ant-Man 2 were all bad. Well, see, I disagree. I agree. Iron Man 2 saved the MCU. So we got to give that a pass. Iron Man 3 wasn't a great movie, but it wasn't terrible. Ant-Man 2, I liked Ant-Man 2, but I understand Ant-Man 2 I thought was just as good as Ant-Man 3. So, or Ant-Man Quantumania, whatever they called it. So, and because it wasn't bad. I mean, I liked them, but for me, Thor Dark World was one of the worst movies I've seen, but Thor Ragnarok was much better. But that's just my opinion. And Thor Ragnarok had the Hulk in it. So that's the one that had Hulk in it. So he tried to attack Fire Lord Serta, and Fire Lord just looked at him and just kind of flicked him off, like, man, get away from me. But yeah, it's good stuff. We were at the theater every opening weekend except for Doctor Strange 1. That's the only time I didn't go see it. But all these other MCU movies, I was there opening day. The AI getting better. Yeah, anything. Look at NVIDIA being number 3 most valuable company, which is Apple and Microsoft. Yeah, and NVIDIA stock is it's a ridiculous amount of money. I don't know if it's 400 or 600. I know I messed up not getting it. So, but when I got really heavy into the market, NVIDIA was already at over $350, I think. So I was like, ugh, I ain't doing it. So shout out to Charles Hawk talking about Madam Web is bad because of PC. No, Madam Web is terrible. Madam Web is just, that got nothing to do with the PC. It's just bad. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it there as bad. BAD.
Madam Web is bad because of PC.
Yeah, it's bad, but it's not because of the PC. Like I said, but I still support all the MCU movies. I'm just not going to go at this point in time. The next MCU movie, I think, will be Deadpool and Wolverine, and I will go see that one. But I think for myself, that will be the last one I go see opening night. Opening night. All right, I'm not even going to sneak it. I'm just going to go see that and pay my money. So, because that's the last time that Witchcaller's donning the Wolverine tights. And it's the third Deadpool movie in the first one where he's in the MCU. So we will get to see MCU characters. Don't know which ones, but Ryan has already said that he got something planned. Downward Incline, Ragnarok was hilarious. Yeah, it was for me. I was sitting in that movie theater cracking up at Thor Ragnarok because the stuff he was saying. And I like Jeff Goldblum, and Jeff Goldblum was really good in that. But we'll have to see. It's fine. It's different strokes for different folks. It's because I like it. You don't have to like it. They introduced Madam Web saying No Way Home with a cameo that raises. Yeah, I don't disagree. That would have been a nice mid-cut scene. I don't disagree. So they cannot have they should not have introduced Madam Web the way they did. I think it's a cool character, and she deserved more background stuff. It's like Morbius. I mean, why not show Dr. Morbius doing some other stuff? You know, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, I mean, that's a bad movie. And here's the thing: they've made 2 what they call their Venomverse movies. The first 2 Venom movies did okay. These Morbius and Madam Web have done poorly, so they're 2 and 2. But when you look at the MCU, they hit it out of the park with Iron Man. They stunk up the joint with the Hulk, and then they saved everything with Iron Man 2. That's what Iron Man 2 saved the MCU. It's real hard to explain. You guys are probably too young, or maybe you weren't even watching. Robert Downey Jr. went into that office and said, "Let's do Iron Man 2. If it makes this amount of money, you will at least put the Avengers back on the board." And that's what they did. Remember, the end cut scene with Iron Man 2 is what? Thor's hammer. So, well, see, Suicide Squad, I thought both of those movies, I enjoyed both of them. Anytime you got a shark with pants on and Kirby ain't got no pants, I thought that was hilarious. So, let's see where our poll is with Rebirth. Well, I don't blame people if you haven't bought Rebirth, if you haven't played Final Fantasy VII. Yeah. I mean, I bought it because, you know, I part-time got to talk to you guys about it, and you all going to say, "I want to see the receipt." But I haven't even started playing Final Fantasy VII. I'm like, I'm going to replay it, and I'm about to start replaying it. So, and that's what I'm doing. When I get done talking to you guys, I'm firing that up about 6 o'clock, and I will be getting it on again. You know, I already know how to beat the first level, but after that chick came up to Cloud's room and tried to put it on him, and Cloud was just on some bullshit, I'm like, I ought to be able to romance these characters. That's just the way I like playing my game. So, you have 12 hours in the Rebirth, great game. Yeah, you're seeing people talk about Rebirth saying it doesn't look that good at 30 frames and all that kind of stuff. I was like, okay, or 60 frames. I'm like, okay, well, I do not expect a third-party game on PlayStation to look as good as a first-party game. I don't. That's just me. Okay, if I'm a NASCAR team owner and True Virgil is my number one driver, he's my number one driver, and he gets sick and don't race, and then Charles Hulk comes through and he's the backup driver, I don't expect him to drive as well as the first. I just don't. I don't. And Final Fantasy is not known for its graphics anyway. It's just not. I've never heard people say Final Fantasy is the best looking series of all time. No, they just like those stories. And it has a huge crowd behind it. Like, I didn't realize that. I mean, it has its own, they have their own Discords, they have their own stuff. Like, online, they have their own communities. And it's like, yeah, it's a pretty big community. You know, you can, if you go to a Comic-Con and you say Final Fantasy, you'll get a group of people around you. Like, oh, what do you know about Final Fantasy? What's your favorite one? Stuff like that. So, it is what it is. I've never seen anything like it before. So Rob Gaming is playing it at 60. It doesn't look that bad. I'm sure it doesn't. You know, I'm sure it doesn't. So, I don't think it is. I don't think it's as bad as what it was. So the Hulk was amazing. See, I didn't care for it, but it's arguably considered, that and Thor: Dark World is arguably considered the worst MCU movies. The biggest MCU movie that was a letdown is Iron Man 3. Because it came after the Avengers, and people were still just, the Avengers and Thor: Dark World, those two movies, Iron Man 3 and Thor: Dark World damn near sunk the MCU. I remember walking out of the Thor movie just listening to people like, man, I don't know if this is going to work. And, you know, they've done two movies that weren't that good in a row. And it's just stuff like that. And then it was saved by of all people, Captain America. In phase 2, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Then that fall, people got to remember that fall, Guardians of the Galaxy came out, which was an ensemble movie, and that saved the MCU. Like, that was it, because people were in that. I mean, when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy, I was really laughing. I didn't know what to expect, and that movie had a talking tree and a friggin', talking raccoon. And there could have been a million things go wrong with that. It didn't. It did not go wrong. It's like, okay. So it is what it is. So Just Wait said he thinks it looks good. Final Fantasy VII art style isn't ultra realistic. Yeah, I mean, again, I've never heard anybody brag about what it looks like. People will say, well, 8 looks better than 7 and 9 looks a little bit better than 8, which people will say stuff like that. But they're not going to sit there and say, oh, man, it's a graphic powerhouse and oh, boy. I mean, I'm telling you, 2 of the best looking games I've ever seen are the Forbidden West DLC and then the Frozen Wilds. Wasn't that what it's called? That DLC was looking so good back in the day. So Iron Man 3 did make $1 billion. Yeah, I didn't say it wasn't successful. Not financially. It was still the story, and coming off of the Avengers movie, it was a letdown with that story. However, yeah, it did make $1 billion. So, and that's why I tell people these Marvel movies, most of them don't make $1 billion. Like all 4 Avengers movies did. Captain America: Civil War made $1 billion. Black Panther made $1 billion. What am I missing? I don't know if any of the Guardians movies made $1 billion. Maybe Guardians 3 did. But for the most part, they don't make $1 billion. That's why, people will say stuff like, well, it didn't make any money. It's like, dude, you're so used to them making $1 billion that most movies don't make $1 billion. So, but the critics not like Iron Man 3. It just was mixed reviews. It was cool what they were trying to convey. They just didn't do a great job of it. But it was pretty much about making enemies. And how Tony Stark made a bunch of enemies and he was all willy-nilly. He didn't care, and it caught up to him. So, and that stuff, again, got into Pepper, and she was using it. I mean, it's not a bad movie. It's just like, they just had a whole lot. It was a whole lot of everything. And there's a saying, jack of all trades, master of none. You got to be a master, and that movie wasn't it. Then it was followed by Thor: Dark World, which wasn't good either. I mean, that was bad. So, and people were walking away. But just trust me, I was coming out of that theater opening night, and people were walking out like, man, I don't know, and this may not work very well. That's when then Captain America came out. And everybody was like, man, this is really good. And it doesn't feel like a superhero movie. And it doesn't. It's not that he doesn't do superhero stuff, but it just doesn't feel like like that type of movie. So again, it just, that reset it for me personally. I mean, they had Robert Redford in that movie, for Christ's sake. Robert friggin' Redford. So it's tough. It was tough, but they made it. They got $1 billion out of because then after Guardians, the very next movie I believe is Age of Ultron, which made $1 billion. So they had course corrected off of everything. So and they did. They stayed straight ever since then. They kept it straight. So remember, FSR 3 is the upscaling. I'm trying to get back here. FSR 3 is a upscaling technique. One of the upscaling techniques that Lisa Su and AMD bragged about. And this is something that myself and Foxy Games talked about when we were trying to tell you guys that, not everything's going to be 4K. We literally tried to tell you guys that. And it was, I got called everything but a child of Krypton. So, and here we are. So, but I get it. People have been lying to you all so much, you just don't know who to believe. So, You can listen to what I said in the past. Now you can compare it to what you're getting now. And then you can say, well, Craig, you were right or wrong. And I was right. So I'm always right. So it is what it is. So it is what it is, right? So as we move it along here, I'm trying to think what else we got up here. Oh, the exclusive games being the past. No. It's that's not going to change because of the Xbox community and the PC community being butthurt over over the what's happening, because Xbox is not going to have a heck of a whole lot of games. Critics did not like their take on the Mandarin. Well, yeah, that movie almost got banned in China, and that's why they made it the way they made it, like kind of a joke. But they fixed it with Shang-Chi, which was good. I mean, like the third act I thought was lacking, but they fixed it with Shang-Chi. But China was like, "Nah, we're not gonna put this in." Even though that was, I really liked that movie up until the dragons were fighting each other. I'm like, okay, all right, this is. I know it because now it's like, is this? I don't get it now. I mean, I know there was some fantasy involved, but Jiminy Crickets, that was bad, man. So, you'd rather watch 50 Shades of Grey, okay, than Madam Web. Well, I mean, it was bad. I can just simply tell you it wasn't a good movie, and I'm actually, if that movie comes out, if the movie comes out, that may be one of the first ones I don't try to buy. I mean, it was bad, man. I mean, it was bad. It was bad. So, one of the worst movies I've seen. So certainly wish them luck though. They're making a Morbius 2, so let's hope that Morbius 2 does better. It got no choice but to do better. So you didn't watch it, yeah? You didn't miss nothing. you didn't miss nothing. So so I disagree with BitCloud when he was saying that the exclusive games are going away because people are feeling, in that sense, nobody cares if people feel left out. Nintendo makes exclusive games. You're not gonna get a Zelda game. You're gonna have to play that on Nintendo's consoles. That's just the way it is. They do nothing but first party, and it's like you got to play our device. You got to have our device to access it in the discussion. So Sony is the same way, and people keep So when Paris said that game should be on there, and I don't think he said it's criminal that it shouldn't be on there, but you need to understand the PlayStation community just a few months ago was bragging about Hellblade 2, was bragging about Elder Scrolls, was bragging about Starfield, was bragging about Redfall, okay? And they were bragging because those games were not going to be on PlayStation. But now, shout out to Portorock77, he did say to all of us, we need to see what these Xbox podcasters are going to say about what's going on. And he is 100% correct. They have pivoted. And Microsoft looks like they're going to be bringing their games. And I went to GameStop today, and even the girl in there said, that they have been told that they're going to be bringing most of their games over. Not all, but most of their games. So, I expect to see Starfield and Redfall and Hellblade 2. Maybe not anytime in the next year, but soon. So, is a partner holding majority stock in Nintendo? Okay, well, no, that's fine. I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm sure they're trying to get Nintendo to release something on their device. I mean, I would. I mean, if I was Phil Spencer, he ain't doing nothing wrong trying to get them. He's not doing his job if he's not aggressively trying to pursue that. So, but it's just there's always going to be exclusive games just because there's a handful of people. The internet was designed to make 10 men feel like 100, and that's exactly what it's doing. Make sure you vote in that poll before I take it down here shortly. So I'm ready to take it down here. So exclusives matter because they sell consoles. Yeah, Yeah, that's what identifies your console. So I mean, look, I bought when I wanted to play Knights of the Old Republic, I had a PlayStation. And the only way I was going to get my hands on an Xbox, it was to trade my PlayStation in. And I remember I got like I forgot what it was, $284 for it. I said, is that enough to get me an Xbox? And they said, yeah. And they said, well, the first game you ought to get is Halo. He said, that's a game, that's like the best game ever. And I'm like, well, what about Knights of the Old Republic? He's like, oh yeah, that's good too. So, and I tell you the story. I played that Knights of the Old Republic from 2:00 in the afternoon to 11:30 at night. I was loving it that much. Loving it. Was like, all right, I got to go to work. So, yeah. Oh, okay. True Virgil, you said you stopped listening to Big Cloud. He agrees with anything Alex or Fertinga say. Well, I just think that he's become more of a PC guy. And that's fine. And the PC community does not like the fact that PlayStation puts these games out and they have to wait for years. Look at Ghost of Tsushima. They had to wait for 4 years to get Ghost of Tsushima. They did. The Last of Us didn't go to PC till last year, and it came out in 2013. The Last of Us Part 2 will be over there by the end of the year. That's, again, you can see what Sony's doing. They're making PS5 versions of the games, getting them to us first, letting us play them, and then it goes to PC. And yes, depending on what kind of PC you have, that's the way the game's going to look. Like I said last week, Cyberpunk running on a 4090, and I don't know what kind of CPU it was, but I don't care. It looked realistic. Like I literally had to do a double take. So if you go out and you put out that type of money, then that's what your game's going to be looking like. So it is what it is. Oh, he's not a traitor. Come on, Mike Johnson. Come on, ain't worth all that. I disagree with them. I'm telling you why I disagree. Exclusive games aren't going to go away. So don't get caught up in it. So, don't get caught up in that stuff. Yes, I agree that, I believe that the PlayStation, the PC community and the Xbox community, I call it the United Gaming Front because the games that Xbox is putting out on PC, they don't like it. They don't like those games. And you notice, like I said, they're not asking for any Nintendo games. It's just only Sony's games. So, but it's not gonna happen. Not day and date. I'm not too worried about it. The only reason I'm talking about it is because I heard his podcast. I'm like, I disagree with this. So, no, it is what it is. What's up, J-Ro? Oh, Mary Wilcox is in the house. How are you doing, Mary Wilcox? Is she here? Shout out to Mary Wilcox. the first lady of gaming, Mary Wilcox in the house. So shout out to Jay.
Oh,
appreciate you, brother.
yeah.
Appreciate you. So so this whole notion of, they didn't make any, they didn't make the profit. They needed to put games on PC. No, they need to control their damn budgets. They need to control their goddamn budgets. Period. No, I cannot. I understand the whole thing with Spider-Man because it's made with Marvel games. It's made with Marvel's and Disney's permission. They're not going to like cutting back. They don't want to hear that. But they also understand that they got to get the budgets under control. And it is what it is. You won't stop listening to Big Cloud? Yeah, I still listen to him. And again, the reason I left the podcast was because the pandemic happened and we were just getting worked to death. And I was coming, and I would come on Friday and I would get off. I wouldn't get off until 7:30, almost 8 o'clock. And I wouldn't get home till like 8:40. And at that point, I just wanted to get in the shower and go to bed. That's all I wanted to do. So, I think that for a PlayStation guy, he's at least tried to be neutral. Well, again, let me make this clear. Based on what I have heard him say, he is no longer a, quote, PlayStation guy. He is much more a PC guy. But you all got to get out of the mindset of he's an Xbox guy, he's a PlayStation guy, whatever. You all got to get out of that mindset. Everybody just play the games where they are. I mean, I agree with Phil Spencer when he says when we play, we all win, because we all play different things. So that it's kind of a backhanded slap comment, because we all play different things. So some of us like JRPGs, some of us like Western RPGs, like The Witcher. If you want to know what a Western RPG is, The Witcher, what is it? What's the name of that game? Red Dead Redemption, stuff like that. You know, that's more Westernized type of stuff. The JRPGs is a lot of we saw it with Stellar Blade and Grand Blue Fantasy and stuff like that. So what I do believe, you have a group of people that feel like they're being left out, left behind. The two biggest games that come out in 2024 are on PlayStation. It's Helldivers 2 and Final Fantasy Final Fantasy Rebirth. Those are your two big games right now. Now that's going to change. I'm telling you all, when Hellblade 2 comes out, that's going to be a nice game. Tell you that right now. I know two people that have played it, and they said it's nice. It's a nice game. So you all better get ready for that. But it feels like they're being left out, and that's what I'm hearing when I hear guys like Paris and Matt's Gaming and stuff like that. They just feel like they're being left out. So Sony's game, the gas bit them in the butt. Yeah. Again, they bought those studios to help them with gas games, and yeah, they're only doing 6. But remember, we already knew they were going to cancel 6 of them. Now we just know what they are. That's the only thing that changed. You hope Hellblade 2 succeeds. Yeah, I think it will. Hellblade 2 will be the next game I buy for the Xbox, and I'm serious when I say this. That'll be the last game I buy. Was I working in the medical field with the pandemic? Yeah, it sucked. So I mean, it sucked. So there's no. I mean, I relish the days I was at home. Okay, it sucked having to go in there, but it is what it is. It's over with now. Thank goodness we made it. So, and I ended up getting COVID, but I got it like a year ago and took something, and it went away in like 3 days. But other people didn't have that, right? At the beginning, I mean, people was getting put on the vent, and they were croaking. It sucked. We didn't have enough vents. We were constantly calling around, so it sucked. It's like you say. So, but yeah, it sucked. But we made it through, right? We made it through. So, but yeah, I had it. It was like, for me, it was just a dry cough. But that's not what we're talking about. Come and flag the video and all that stuff with misinformation. But yeah, I got it. I got over it in like 3 days. I had 5 days off from work to get over it. I was finished by Sunday. Went to work on Tuesday. So it is what it is. Is what it is. So, but yeah, I mean, it was nasty. But the cloud device, PS5 is outperforming the Xbox. We went over that earlier. If you have the right internet, I want to stipulate that. You got to have the right internet, and it will come up. It will do a bit rate test. It'll tell you what you qualify to play on, and then it'll let you stream and all that kind of stuff. And again, I streamed Forbidden West, the first part of it, when you had to fight that snake-looking thing. I forgot what it's called, something Fang or whatever it was called, right? And I only had like one time it majorly stuttered. So that was it. Overall, it did really well. So I'm gonna give me some PS3 games and start playing them, because gotta remember, I never had a PS3, and everybody's waiting on SOCOM. So give me SOCOM. So we had plenty of we did not. And look at where Trump lost the election. Every city that had a major medical hub in it all went for Biden. All of them. You know, Atlanta, Biden. Pennsylvania, Biden. Well, not Atlanta, Georgia. Georgia got a big medical hub and legal hub. Yeah. And Trump did say he wasn't telling the truth because he didn't want to panic the American people. But I mean, to me, I don't think people were panicking, but they were trying to do stuff like going to the I saw multiple people get arrested at the grocery store for not having a mask on when all that was happening. So, I mean, they threw one woman down and busted her head right there. Like, this busted her head. The cops did that for not having a mask on. They literally tried to give her a mask. She was like, I don't want to. You don't have to make me. They were like, ma'am, you have to go out of the store. I'm not going out of the store. We need to get groceries. Pow, 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 pow. It was over, you know, just like that. They cuffed her and stuffed her. So, yeah. So, no, we did not have enough ventilators. So, you know, so that sucked too because people were suffering without them. So it is what it is. It is what it is. So it's the band played on. That's what it was. The band played on. So just remember, if you have streaming, you have premium with PlayStation, which costs like $20. You can stream games. You can watch Sony Motion Picture Core, all that stuff. It's on there. And so it is what it is. However, it is outperforming the xCloud by miles. And what we talked about here. Yeah, the United Gaming Front is just the PC community and the Xbox community just going full tard, acting the way they are because they feel some kind of way. Ooh, I get to say it. They felt some kind of way about it. So, you know, it is what it is. So hopefully, yeah. Are you not entertained? Are you all going to game tonight? I am going to. It's going on 5, so I'm going to give myself a 20-minute break, and then I'm going to play Final Fantasy 7. I hope I'm saying this right. Intragrade. So hopefully I'm saying that right. So, but that's all I got for you guys. I certainly hope you have a good rest of the evening, a great weekend. If anybody wants to hell dive, let me know. I can stop playing Final Fantasy and hop right over to Hell Divers. So it's not that big a deal. But I recommend premium. You're new to the community. If you have the proper cable, I recommend you try it because it's got a bunch. If you like movies, it's got Sony Motion Picture Core on there. You can watch a lot of movies. You can watch all the Spider-Man movies, all of them, the ones with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. They're all on there. So it's got movies, it's got game streaming. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's not bad. Just if you want to try it for a month, yeah, you can try it for this month and then go ahead and you got to remember that you had it. You got to remember that you got it because they will charge you. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, charge. Am I going to watch the Laker game tonight? I might. They're playing Denver, right? I might watch that. I might. I have not watched an NBA game in over a year, like a full game. I may try to stay up and watch that. But there's also going to be Manosphere stuff happening tonight. So, and I will probably get an invite to those. I always get invited. I just don't go. So, yeah, I was being a hell diver. But yeah, I recommend it for 1 month just to see what you like about it, especially if you want to stream games. And streaming meaning that their latency is actually not as bad as you would think it is. And Sick Humor streamed games over a year ago. He was streaming. He was like, he wasn't having any problems. So it is what it is. Any other questions or comments? So when am I getting rid of my Xbox? After Hellblade comes out, I will get rid of my Xbox. They're only going to give me cash. Okay, this is cash at GameStop. $192. I mean, that's how much it's depreciated. I was like, well, they're putting all their games on PlayStation. So she was like, yeah, they are. Like, oh, really now? She's like, yeah, they are. They already been told. So like, oh, all right. She said, yeah, they're going to be a third-party publisher. The biggest in the world. So, biggest in the world. So, But yeah, all right, guys, I'm gonna jump on off here. Got myself a little 20-minute siesta, and then I am going to play Final Fantasy. So I will check you guys out later. I don't know if I'll podcast tomorrow. This was tomorrow's show. This would have been a 9:30 a.m. show, but I did it tonight. So I want to sleep in. Yeah. So that's all, folks. I appreciate you. Everybody stay safe. Shout out for the super chat, Charles Hawk with the $5. I appreciate you, brother. And I will talk to you guys later. Oh, let's close the poll. Let's see where we're at with our poll here. 51% of you all have bought Rebirth and 48% have not. So shout out to you guys. Yay. Shout out to you guys. All right, then. So, yeah, if you're playing it, leave a comment on what you like about it. Go ahead, and I have a poll up on Twitter. Who has better physics between Tifa and Eve from Stellar Blade? So, just that simple. So, but go check it out. All right, then. Deuces.